Hello and welcome to the official Haters Euro 2024 daily show. I am your host, Freddie Walker, and joining me today, I have Centre Spot podcast, Cameron Lee, and Outside the Box podcaster, El Hater. A reminder that we are live every single day from 1 p.m, bringing you exclusive training clips, interviews, and reports from our team on the ground in Germany. Before we get into today's action, let's start by reviewing yesterday's action. We saw the reigning champs, Italy, crash out against a very, very impressive Switzerland side. Cam, what were you thinking about this one? Were you surprised?
I was a little bit surprised, actually. Look, I watched, as everyone should do, I watched yesterday's live stream, I watched yesterday's show, and I saw Al and Joel both call Switzerland win, and I kind of sat there thinking, are we writing off an experienced Italy side who've not performed that well in performance before, but actually got the job done? And you know what? I was completely blown away by the Swiss performance. Actually, throughout the entire game, they looked completely comfortable, and they never really gave Italy much of a chance. So yeah, very, very, very surprised by the result, but actually on reflecting on the game, it never really looked in doubt for the Swiss, I have to say.
Elle, you called it?
I did call it yesterday. I wasn't surprised by Switzerland's performance, but I was just really surprised at how poor Italy were, to be honest with you. I thought Switzerland were just amazing. They were organised, creative, brave. They totally dominated the whole game. They had loads of energy. They definitely deserved their spot in the quarterfinals.
Sweepstakes still looking good then.
Brilliant. Into the next round.
Come on.
They most definitely do deserve their spot in the quarterfinals. Freuler had the chance to break the deadlock about 10 minutes after Mbolo missed a pretty simple one-on-one, it has to be said. But Freuler took his chance very, very well, and he's now the 6th scorer for the Swiss national team in this tournament. How important, guys, is it to have goals spread around your team? Elle, what's your thoughts on that one? How important is it to have multiple goal scorers around?
Definitely. I think, especially for Switzerland, they don't have an out-and-out goal scorer per se. So I think it's great that they have many people in the team that can have that diversity to score a goal. Obviously, it creates more of a threat. It gets everyone involved. And it's obviously harder for teams to know how to handle this.
No, for sure. I think we're seeing that more and more sort of in club football and international, that sort of relying on a squad to get your goals. When Kane left Tottenham last summer, we definitely saw that from the Spurs squad, like lose that target man. But to be fair, in the defence, call me old-fashioned, but I will defend the target man. I feel Briel Mbolo, and this might be a little bit biased. I did have him in a Football Manager career made about 7 years ago, and I maybe got a bit of connection from there. But I really, really rate this guy, and he's maybe been a little bit underwhelming in the tournament so far. But I think if Switzerland want to go far, he really needs to step up and maybe start getting a high concentration of goals for the team.
Fair enough. Is the kind of old-fashioned traditional number 9 dead?
100%, you know?
Well, yeah, we'll see. Okay, so the game was put to bed in the second half by SofaScore and UEFA man of the match, Ruben Vargas. He was absolutely brilliant throughout the game. It was a wonderful, wonderful finish for his goal. And he warranted an 8.5 rating. He also got the assist to the Freuler goal. It's one of the best individual performances we've seen this summer. If England are to go through this evening and they play Switzerland in the next round, is that the man that you're worried about, Cam?
Absolutely, yeah. He's got to be up there. Sort of looking through the Swiss team yesterday, that you start picking out these names and start understanding why they're doing so well. Vargas is definitely a concern of mine. Also, Granit Xhaka. I know one of your favourites, Fred. He's someone to look out for. I feel like he really sort of orchestrates that team. So yeah, no, the threats all over the pitch, and definitely a lot of players to be concerned for.
Elle, who scares you in this Switzerland team?
Oh, I think all over. I think their defence yesterday, I was really impressed with Shah and Akanji at the back. I think that was really solid. I also thought Xhaka, obviously, he broke the lines 21 times against Italy yesterday. He was unreal. Everything was basically moving through him. So I think it's not just Vargas. I think there are a few players that we do need to watch out for.
It is an extremely, extremely strong Swiss side. They're looking extremely good. And we heard from Ruben Vargas, speaking of the man, after the game.
Kicked off, Granit said to me, please, Ruben, score a goal one way or another. And then I found myself on the ball a short while later. I remember what Granit said, him telling me to shoot. I shot, and I'm delighted the ball found the back of the net. And the footage with our fans, our friends, are incredible. It's a wonderful moment.
What can't Granit Xhaka do? He's now managing the Swiss national team. He's making me eat my words. But on the side of Italy, did we see one of the worst attempts to defend their crown? In 4 matches, Italy won just once and put in some incredibly poor performances. Cam, what's your thoughts on that Italy display in the tournament?
Look, they definitely won't be speaking about this in Italy for very long, you feel. In regards to, is it the worst defence of all time? Well, if you look at Portugal in the last Euros, who were defending champions, they actually came third in the group. Same in Italy, had 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses, and went out in the round of 16. So it's this level of bad defence of a title has been done before. I think in regards to Italy, though, look, they're going through a transition. They lost to North Macedonia in the World Cup qualifiers last time. So if you actually look at it on a tournament by tournament basis, there is room for improvement there. But I think, look, this is a side in transition, and I think you've got to give them a chance. And I think that this manager at the next World Cup potentially might have a team that could maybe cause some trouble. But obviously disappointing this time around.
What were your thoughts on Italy and their tournament? What's the issue there?
Yeah, definitely agreeing with Cam. I think they lost a lot of experienced players from the last Euro 2020 win to now. I also think they've got a lot of young players in the team coming through. So it's hard for a team to gel, turn up. There's a lot just based on that young players in the squad. I do think we should give the manager another chance. I think he does need the time to kind of make it work.
As you speak of the manager, Luciano Spalletti spoke after the game of whether he should stay in the job.
20 matches in charge before they took charge of a Euro. Some coaches had 30 games. I only had 10. And we already were under fire. You have to win. You have to win. In the last 3 games against North Macedonia, we hadn't actually won those games against North Macedonia, and yet I had to beat North Macedonia to get us here, and it's only right that we have to win. I probably need to get to know my team a bit better.
So, Cam, we know that L would keep Spalletti in the job. Would you keep him in the job?
Yeah, look, Italy were horrendous and arguably the bad smell of this tournament so far. Like, scraping past Albania, just getting through their group. But this was Spalletti's first tournament, and look, not everyone can overachieve like Gareth Southgate does in their first tournament. So look, he got them qualified out of the groups, and obviously disappointing result. But I do agree with Elle actually. I think for Italy, I think you've got to stay with him. I think he mentioned himself that he was only in the game for sort of 10, 15 games before the tournament started. So while it's disappointing, I think you've got to stick with him.
Fair enough. You guys are nicer than me, I feel. Get rid. That kind of rounds up Italy, Switzerland. Hopefully England will be seeing Switzerland in the next round. We'll get on to England later. But in the evening, host Germany took on Denmark in Dortmund. And we heard from Haters' very own Jerry Cox after the game.
I've just seen another amazing game during this European Championship. Germany 2, Denmark 0, that's the scoreline, but it doesn't tell the full story. For one thing, we had a 25-minute rain delay. The mother of all thunder and lightning storms came down, and Michael Oliver, the referee, took him off the pitch. But Michael Oliver played a big part in this game. At one point, Joachim Andersen got the ball in the net. Denmark thought they were 1-0 up. It went to VAR. They had a good look at it. They found it was a toenail offside from Thomas Delaney. Goal was scrubbed out. Moments later, ball at the other end. A cross goes in from Leroy Sané. Nothing comes of it. The ball action goes to the other end. And then suddenly VAR decides to intervene again, and they decide that the ball has brushed Andersen's arm. Penalty, Kai Havertz, 1-0. Denmark still gave it as good as they could, and it was really only the second goal that absolutely killed them off. Jamal Musiala, lovely, cool finish. So 2-0 in the end to Germany, but the Danes felt they were really robbed. And I think it's one that Michael Oliver won't want to remember too much because it wasn't a great night for him. But Germany are through. They'll be playing the winner of Spain v Georgia, which will be interesting. But on this form, I think they'll have to up their game if they're going to beat Spain.
So Kai Havertz scored again for Germany, his 18th of the season. But it was from the penalty spot, and it was a harsh penalty, it has to be said. And we heard from the man who thought he'd given the Danish the 1-0 lead, and then seconds later, essentially put them 1-0 down by giving away the penalty, Joachim Andersen.
You must know him from the Premier League. What did you think?
No, like I said to your colleagues here, for me, there's never a plan, and they come every season to describe the rules for us, and for now, for 2 years, that will never ever be a plan. And if you've seen the Premier League for the last 2 years, there's not been one decision where we haven't had given a pen in this situation. So, yeah, horrible decision.
Have you spoken to Michael Oliver after the game?
You can't speak to the ref nowadays.
Not a happy man, Joachim Andersen. I don't blame him. That was a pretty tough few moments for him. But let's go on to the decisions, right? So you've obviously got the offside one for the goal. And I guess offside is offside, even though it is unbelievably harsh. It's literally a centimetre. And then the handball. What's your thoughts on those decisions, Al?
I agree with you. Obviously, offside is offside. It's a toenail, but it is offside. But then a few moments later, when the handball was given, I felt really, really sad for Andersen. Obviously, being a Crystal Palace player, my heart kind of broke for Denmark a little bit. I do think it was a harsh decision. I think you need to take into consideration the proximity between the ball and the player. It just doesn't sit right with me, the handball, to be honest with you. I don't think it was a penalty.
Cam, you echo that?
No, I sympathise with a lot of what Els just said there. But I mean, look, if you take a step back, what football should be about is entertaining fans, and therefore we should be trying to encourage as many goals to be scored as possible, not chalking them off for toenails being offside, or and so I just feel like maybe if that's the way we sort of approach how we should referee footballing games, maybe there's an argument for there should be a sort of clear space between players. That should be the new offside. But the thing is, there's always going to be a line in offside. If you're going to say there's a point line where that you can't cross, there's always going to be, when you play enough football games, there's always going to be that one where there's an inch offside. So look, Denmark can feel very harshly treated, but I think on the balance of play, on the balance of how the game went out, the deserved team went through. And actually, I don't think the referees had too much of a bad game. I think what the issue was is the kind of the silliness of the rules. That was a handball in the rule book. The referee just went and did it. But I think, should it be a handball? I think that's maybe the bigger question. Maybe we need to have a sort of a bigger picture approach to how these types of rules.
Agreed. I mean, the handball was similar to the one that was given for Croatia in the Italy game. Close proximity, but even closer, I think, than the.
For sure.
the
it felt
one.
incredibly harsh.
So it is harsh. But another man that had a pretty poor night, Man United's Rasmus Hojlund, finished the tournament with 0 goals. He spoke to the media after the match.
What was the feeling in the dressing room? Do you feel you were slightly cheated out of that one?
I don't really know, to be fair. I think if the camera angle changes, or you take it from 1 second before with his foot or whatever, I think we get the goal. But then again, we gotta trust the system. So yeah, that's my.
But the penalty as well, is that harsh?
That was rude, Rasmus. Very, very rude, just walking away like that at the end. What's up with Hojlund? He obviously had a poor tournament. What do you think, Cam?
Yeah, look, he'll be heading home disappointed with how everything's turned out. But I think from his personal perspective, you've got to remember, you're playing in a side that's coming to the end of its cycle. Obviously, that Denmark team that got to a semi-final 4 years ago, those players are very much sort of, in their sort of mid to late 30s now, or, definitely coming to the end of that cycle. He's, a very promising young player who came against a strong German side. It'll be disappointing, but I wouldn't sort of get too sort of down in the dumps about it.
Elle, do you think he's a top player?
No, definitely. Carrying on from what Cam said, I think he is a great player. He got into some good positions in the game yesterday. He got
a really
into
good chance, didn't he?
Yeah.
Actually? Well, good save from the keeper.
I just think his finishing let him down. I think he just needs to be a lot more calmer on the ball. Just take a touch, relax, chill.
I think
Deep breaths.
that's the problem.
Let's stop being a diva all the time. Maybe that'll help you out.
Yeah, Man U paid a lot of money for him, and his finishing isn't top tier by the looks of things. But yesterday we also spoke about Germany's Jamal Musiala, and wow, what a player he is. He's probably been the standout performer in the championship so far, not just for Germany, but just all teams. And he's put away Denmark, sent them home with another fantastic goal. If you were him, he's got a decision to make about his future, sign a new contract at Bayern or look at other options. Would you stay at Bayern, Cam?
It's a tough one. Look, Bayern, obviously a great place to play your football, but he's got 2 years left on his contract. That puts him in quite a position of power there. I would definitely, if I was him, I'd continue to develop this next season, see how the season goes. Obviously, this Leverkusen threat that's come in, he, as a player of his quality, he wants to be winning things, winning titles. And then, with a year left on his contract, maybe that'll be a time to review, see what else is going on, see if Real Madrid are maybe looking for another player, or Barcelona, or maybe Man City if he feels like he's ready to move to the Premier League. So I'd say there's no rush. He's so young. He's got so much talent. And I think Bayern Munich is at this point in time a great place to develop.
Elle, you staying at Bayern?
Definitely. He's got to stay there for at least another season. At the end of the day, he's 21 years old. Whatever he's doing is obviously working. So I think he just needs to continue on his player development and see where he's at in maybe a couple of seasons.
And if he wins Germany the Euros, I mean, what a place to play your football next season.
Exactly.
He'll be the talk of the town. So definitely stick around.
I guess Bayern isn't too bad of a place to play your football.
Sure.
It's a pretty decent club, yeah. Well, let's go on to today. Let's talk about what we want to talk about. Is it coming home, or are England coming home? We take on Slovakia this afternoon at 5 o'clock, and the winner is rewarded with a clash against Switzerland, as we have discussed. Are you looking forward to this, Elle?
Definitely. I'm really excited for the game. I think we've got it all behind us. What could go wrong, really?
Oh, God, don't say that.
I think it's all depending on, obviously, Southgate and the setup of the squad. But I do think it has the potential to be in a really exciting game today.
If you just go off the way the last few tournaments have played out, normally it's been a bit of a boring group stage, a bit of an underwhelming. But normally that round of 16 game, I think of Germany, I think of the Senegal performance in the World Cup, which was very comfortable. I think of Colombia. These games have been very exciting. So I feel like today, hopefully, if the pattern continues, we'll see that again today. Look, I love watching England. I think the whole country comes together. Fred, me and you are normal football rivals. We hate each other. And these tournaments are where we can come together and back the teams together. So I very much embrace it. Also, something to remember too is group football and knockout football are completely different entities. The objectives are completely different. Draws aren't okay here. A winner's going to be found out tonight. And that changes the mindsets of teams and changes the mindsets of players. And so, yeah, I think both teams will approach it slightly different to how they approach games in the group. And it should be hopefully quite an exciting game. Fingers crossed.
Fair enough.
Touchwood.
I was maybe planning a nap around 5 o'clock. I think England might help with that, to be honest. They would be very nice to get me to sleep.
Yeah.
Based on the group stage performances, of course. But there has been some debate in recent days about the possibility of playing Bukayo Saka at left back. Let's take a look at his stats for England since his debut in 2020. So matches played 36, goals 11, assists 7, minutes per goal or assist 130. That's pretty damn good, having played 36 games. Shots per game 1.48, goal conversion percentage 20.6, and a very, very respectable, good serve score rating of 7.13. Now, he has played for England before at left back. He has played for Arsenal at left back before. Is it just ludicrous, Elle, to suggest that we should play him now?
I don't think it's a ludicrous decision. However, do I think Southgate will go for it? No, because it's not a safe option.
Yeah.
But is it one of the craziest things I've ever heard? No, not really.
No, for me, the only ludicrous thing about it is the timing. Like, I feel it. While I backed Southgate throughout this tournament, and I've been frustrated by it. We've had plenty of time to do these types of experiments and figure out a style of play, and it feels like we're now sort of making these sort of big experimental decisions around of 16 Euros. Like, you would have thought teams would have kind of these ideas and backup plans in place. So I hope maybe that this has been something that's been discussed and thought out before, and Saka does have experience in that role. But that's the only thing where I'm kind of like a little bit. Because actually, on paper, I do like the idea of it. Actually, they're going to sit back, another attacking player on the pitch, and the Saka can do the job. It should work out. But I would like to see it before, maybe. Speaking
of experiments, the Trent experiment failed.
Yeah.
The Conor Gallagher experiment, I guess, has failed.
Yeah.
And now he's gone for Kobe Mainoo. According to reports, will be starting for England. So, do you think that's the right idea from Southgate?
Look, for me personally, I think the midfield trio should consist of Rice, Bellingham, and Foden. I think that's where the majority of the talent in that midfield, the England midfield, sort of lies. Look, I think Kobe Mainoo is a fantastic prospect, and he's got so much talent. Again, to go back to that experimentation point, I think, to be fair to Southgate, his hand's maybe been forced by the amount of injuries and like the amount of sort of chaos within the squad going into the tournament. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it works out, and I hope it works out for the best, but maybe not the way I would have gone.
Elle, are you happy with Mainoo
Definitely.
starting?
I think definitely get Mainoo into the squad. I think the movement he brings, the pace he brings, he's always looking to play the ball forward. He's always looking to slip a ball through. So I definitely think it wouldn't be a bad decision to get him into the squad.
Okay. Well, another thing that is confusing people about this England team is why they're struggling to score when they have so much attacking talent. Harry Kane found the back of the net against Denmark, but he's been somewhat anonymous in the rest of the games. Let's take a look at his stats at the group stages, which have been provided to us by SofaScore. Make sure that you download SofaScore if you like your sports. It's the best app to look at fixtures, results, statistics, and yeah, it's very key for any sports fan. So we have Harry Kane here, group stages, Euro 2024, matches played 3, goals 1, scoring frequency every 250 minutes. That's not what you want to see from Harry Kane. Shots per game 2.67, goal conversion percentage of 12.5%. Not ideal. 2 big chances missed, pretty average SofaScore rating of 6.93. Cam, you are a Spurs fan. Is Harry Kane the problem or the solution for England?
Look, I think anyone who says that Harry Kane's a problem for England needs to have their head properly checked.
Chopped off.
Yeah, or chopped off. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone that far, El, but each their own, I guess. But no, yeah, look, I think Harry Kane makes this England team better. I think he offers so many different sort of styles of the way he can approach his game. His build-up play is fantastic. He's obviously an extremely good finisher. Look, the entire England team has been underwhelming. It's not just Harry Kane. I appreciate he's the captain. And look, don't get me wrong, I know there's in Tony and Watkins some really good backup options on the bench. But look, Kane's a record goal scorer for a reason. He's one of the most experienced players in the squad. And look, he's been there before. He's he might not have won it, but he's definitely sort of progressed through knockout stages before. So yeah, anyone who talks of taking England out of this team or the team in 2026 or even the team in 28 or 30, okay, you don't know what you're talking about. He's staying and he's never going. He's not leaving.
I have to agree with Cam on that. I think service today for Harry Kane is really, really important. His record speaks for himself. Where maybe age has taken a little off his pace, his experience makes up for that. His out-and-out game is just outstanding. So I don't see him as a problem.
Well, we heard from the England captain yesterday afternoon.
For me, but a lot of the players come into their peak sharpness at the knockout stage, and that's what I've found in especially recent tournaments as well. So yeah, look, being the striker in the team, obviously I want to score goals and help the team get through to the next round. But yeah, if it's not me who scores and we get through anyway, I'm not going to complain. But yeah, it could be down to just the sharpness aspect of it. But ultimately, I enjoy these games.
I guess it's all well and good for us to say, put Bellingham back, bring Foden through the middle, play Saka left back, all of this. But really the man that has the power is Gareth Southgate. And we've got his record as the England manager here. So he's had 98 matches, very close to that 100. I'm sure he'll be hoping to get to that 100th game in this tournament. He's had 61 wins, drawn 20, and 17 losses. Points per game, pretty respectable, 2.07. Goals scored per game, 2.11, and goals conceded per game, 0.68. That's a pretty good statistic. If you're scoring 2.11 per game and conceding 0.68, you're winning the game. Big chances per game, 2.31, and a SOFA score rating of 7.07. That is why SOFA score is so good. It even rates the managers. Make sure you download it through the link in the description or the QR code in the top left corner. So, are we being harsh on Gareth Southgate? We've seen his stats there for England. Are we being harsh, Cam?
I completely appreciate the frustration. And look, it really is. It feels a bit of a 50-50. Half the country are kind of a bit disappointed with it. The other half maybe can remember previous iterations of this England team and where they've underperformed, I guess. Look, I think in my opinion, and I would say only Spain and Germany have had sort of better results in terms of the games won and lost, and also where they came in the group. France had a similar record, but they came second in their group. So you can't really ask for much more than going undefeated, topping the group. And the draw's opened up for us. So, and as I mentioned before, knockout football, group stage football are completely different entities. I think that record we just showed there, he's done pretty good for England. He's done better than anyone else since Sir Alf Ramsey in the 60s. So I'd say be patient. Look, if it doesn't work out this time, if England don't win the Euros, I think it's safe to say that his time as England manager will come to an end. But if he does, then it's party time, baby. So
Elle, what do you think about Southgate?
Look, I think Southgate has done some great things behind the scenes for England, getting the players to play together, creating a really nice, great environment. But he's been in charge for 8 years now, and unfortunately, being an England fan, we want to see results.
Yeah.
We want to win things. So it's always going to be that 50-50. Are we being too harsh? Are we criticizing him too much? I just think for me at the moment, I think it's really important now we kick on and start playing like an attacking threat and using the players that we have now to our advantage.
Completely.
Well, we heard from the England manager in yesterday's press conference.
It has to happen on the day. You've got to go for it. We've been here before many times. We know what it entails. I think everybody's excited now about the challenge. And we know we play a very good opponent. And so we have to be right on our game with and without the ball. And we know that some parts of our game we've executed well and some we need to do better. But
Well, just before we discuss England and their knockout potential under Southgate, Elle, do we have any comments coming through from the chat?
Let me have a little look. We've got Tanya that says Palmer is better at 10. Bellender should drop and put him there.
Wow, we've also had Tanya say if Palmer don't play, it's a tragedy. So she's clearly a big Cole Palmer fan. I would personally keep Saka in the team and not play Palmer and not put Saka at left back. But Cam, what do you think about Palmer?
Look, I can see where Tanya's coming from there. Again, it just feels like to me this talk of sort of experimentation, bringing players in, bringing players out. It just feels like we're potentially going down. It seems like a bad road we're going down there with that. I do think that the team, while it's been a bit boring, it has been structured, it has been solid. There hasn't been too many sort of chances for opposition teams. So yeah, look, Cole Palmer. I think again, I'm looking at these players like Gordon and Palmer, and I think what damage can they do if you were to bring them on in the 55th, maybe 60th minute to Slovakian tired legs? I think that's maybe where they could be most effective. But I could potentially see them starting. And Cole Palmer's such a good player; you could definitely add to the team.
I just don't feel we should be scared. I feel like everyone's really scared to sub Saka. Why is everyone so scared to sub him? It's
He's the most dangerous player most of the time on the pitch.
It's okay. We've got a talent like, for example, Cole Palmer. Maybe give him a go.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sure.
We've also had NI say, great Denmark reaction. They were cheated. Always the English refs, they should be sent home. I do agree with that, to be honest. It does seem to follow the English refs around the controversy.
Yeah.
But let's talk about England in knockout tournaments under Southgate. Do they have more tactical nous under Southgate now? You've seen them go out to Iceland in 2016. Since then, you haven't really seen a huge upset, maybe Croatia in the World Cup, but they've obviously progressed a lot further in tournaments. Do you think England are better under Southgate in knockouts?
Look, I think as the tournaments have gone by with Southgate, you've seen England pick up certain things that they maybe didn't have before. So, for example, in the 2018 World Cup, we won a penalty shootout for the first time, or since the 90s against Spain in '96. We then saw in the 21 Euros, we saw us take on and sort of beat a big team in Germany for the first time. So, look, as each of these tournaments go by, I think these England players are picking up sort of different skills and different things that can help them win a tournament. And hopefully after, I know it was the third time lucky at the World Cup, but hopefully after fourth time lucky, they can bring all those sort of skills together and really progress quite far.
Well, let's see about that. Gareth Southgate's opposition this afternoon is Francesco Calzona. He was asked just how good this England team really is.
When England will give great performances as a group that will become unbeatable, we need to make the most of everything that they could concede. But we need to be very careful because they have a top quality squad. I think that they have the best squad of the Euros.
All right, well, let's see if we are as good as Calzona seems to think. What is your prediction for this game, Cam?
Look, I said last game that we win 3-0, and it was a 0-0 bit of a ball fest. I'm going to go 3-0 again, and hopefully I'm not jinxing it. And that's based off the way that we've approached sort of round of 16 games in previous tournaments.
Elle?
I don't know. I'm tired today. Obviously, I want England to win. I'm going to go 2-0 England.
Come on.
Okay, well,
we're going to lose.
No.
We've also had Tanya. Thank you for the super chat. We need Palmer to start. So, Tanya, she's doubling down on Palmer being in the team. Fair enough. You just don't want to see Saka playing. Fair enough. All right. Well, as much as we probably don't want to, we have to discuss other games because there is other football. It will obviously be coming on after the England match at 8 p.m. Spain take on Georgia. Seems like an obvious question here. But have Georgia been the surprise package for you in this tournament so far?
Definitely. I think Georgia for me was fantastic against Portugal. They've seemed fearless in every single game they've played so far throughout the competition. They've pressed really well. They've been organised, tactically great. It's been good watching them. It's been good. They've been playing good football and it's been good to watch them. I think they're just enjoying the opportunity of being here in their competition. They've got nothing to lose. So.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Georgia qualifying from their group is an absolute miracle. I would say there's a couple of other surprise packages. The Swiss last night are definitely one of them. But for me, the main guys in terms of packages of a surprising nature are Austria. They topped their group, a very tough group, arguably with the group of death. Excuse me, with the Dutch and the French in it. I would say they're one of the only teams in the tournament, maybe with the Spanish, with an absolute recognisable style of play, that sort of high press, the way that Ralf Rangnick sends his team sort of up against opposition, and they look like a complete team. My only question with Austria actually would be, can they? That press is so high and requires so much energy, and their players have had such a long season. You know, as we get to the later stage of the tournament, will they be able to maintain it? But yeah, Georgia, Austria, Switzerland, definitely those sort of surprise packages for me so far.
Georgia manager Willy Sagnol has performed miracles so far this summer. We heard from him yesterday evening.
Here, it's more maybe problematic the amount of days of recovery because we only have 4 days. Spain had 6 days, and of course, I'm not saying it's a kind of problem because that's the way it is, but maybe we would have preferred maybe to have 1 or 2 days more to recover, but that's the way it is. And I'm sure the players, they have had a good recovery, and I'm sure they're already very excited to be on the pitch.
Spain are, without a doubt, one of the favourites for the title, and rightfully so. But they are coming up against the current leader in the race for the Golden Boot, Mikhail Tadze. So we've got his stats here from the Euros so far. He's played 3 games, minutes played 268, 3 goals, goal conversion percentage of 50%. That's pretty remarkable compared to Harry Kane's 12.5%. Assists 1, big chances missed 2, and a SofaScore rating of 7.37. That is a very, very strong rating. The most informed striker in the tournament, coming up against the sternest defence. They haven't conceded yet. Do you think he can be the first man to score against the Spanish defence, Cam?
Look, if anyone can, probably he can, given his form. I think Spain actually played Georgia in the group stages, and while Spain soundly beat them, so I think it was 7-1 and 3-1, you'll notice that Georgia did score a couple of goals in those games. So look, I think Spain will outgun the Georgians today, but I would not be surprised if they got a goal.
Elle, you see him scoring today?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think there's pace there. He's got a lot of trickery, penalty box finisher. If you give them the opportunity, I do think he can finish.
Well, we'll see if there's any transfer of him this summer. He's obviously making a bit of a name for himself right now.
Quite a few of the Georgians are actually. Their goalkeeper, you know.
West Ham are looking at him.
Yeah. They've obviously had a great tournament. So yeah, it'll be cool to see over the summer. Perhaps unexpectedly for Spain, a player that's kind of shone for them so far. Marc Cucurella. He's been a key part to the Spanish defence at Euro 2024. We've got his stats from the tournament so far. He's played 2 matches, 180 minutes played, big chances created 2. Accurate long balls, 4 from 6. Duels 1, 17 out of 22. That's a very impressive number. Tackles 7 and a very, very high SofaScore rating of 7.95 over those 2 games. So do you think we will see Marc Cucurella perform at this level that he is for Spain currently next season for Chelsea?
I mean, yeah, look, he obviously oozes talent. I think we saw that, so far in this tournament. I think what his performances so far really highlight is what playing in a coherent team can do for a player's form. Chelsea obviously were struggling to find form last season. They kind of looked all over the shop at points, and I can see why a player would struggle in that sort of setup. So if Chelsea can pull their stuff together next season, get a manager with a sort of a distinct style of play, I'm sure he'll exceed expectations.
Yeah, I think he's been great for Spain so far. I think he's playing in a less pressurized environment than when he's playing for Chelsea in the Premier League. There's obviously a good vibe with the players in the Spain camp at the moment. Everything's going very well. So there's all the ingredients there for him to have a good tournament. Do I think he's much of a threat going forward? Not necessarily. I think his final third may let him down at times. But yeah.
That's fair enough. But going from defense to attack, Spain's captain and biggest goal threat is Alvaro Morata. It feels like he's been around forever. He is sometimes ridiculed for his goal-scoring ability, and perhaps unfairly, let's look at his record for the Spanish national team. 76 matches, 36 goals, 7 assists, scoring frequency, a goal every 130 minutes, big chance conversion, 18 from 40. Maybe that's somewhat of the criticism he received from Chelsea, kind of missing big chances, and a SofaScore rating of 7.16. Only David Villa, Fernando Torres, and Raul have scored more goals for Spain than this man. Why does he get so much criticism, Cam?
Look, I think, get our perspective of, mainly being English fans, I can see how people who watch the Premier League may not be the biggest raters of him. But, look, we were speaking about Skamaka the other day, another player who came in for West Ham and struggled. Look, the Premier League is quite a distinct league. It's quite hard you've got to be a certain type of player. And I feel like, those stats there, four full-time goal scorer for a team like Spain. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I think he was averaging a goal every 2 games for them too. So I feel like maybe he's one of those players that's sort of suits that European style of play. And, lucky for him, he's playing at the Euros. So therefore, it makes him a pretty dangerous player, I'd say. So, yeah, I can understand the criticism, but he obviously adds something to his game, for sure.
Oh, are you a big Morata fan?
I think, obviously Morata, we remember his time playing at Chelsea being pretty unsuccessful and missing a lot of chances. So we may be a little harsh on him and be a little unfair on him. But, hey, I think he's going to have a good...
Yeah, he's having a great tournament so far, and I'm sure he'll continue that for Spain. So tell me, guys, what's your prediction for this one?
I'm going 4-1 Spain. I think we're comfortable.
4-1. Wow, disrespect on Georgia.
I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1. Okay.
3-1 Spain.
Yeah, I think I'll echo that Spain will win this one. But Georgia, we've loved having you. So thank you for watching. That is all we have time for. We will be back here at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Enjoy the England game, and do not forget to download the SofaScore app by scanning